Hello, my name's Macdonald and I'm 58 years old. 25 years ago I had a very bad pregnancy followed by a very bad birth. There was a mess up with the birth and my son ended up with breathing problems for the first 3 years of his life. This put an enormous amount of pressure on me and I became very ill to the extent that I needed surgery, and when I had the surgery it went very badly wrong and I ended up with a massive internal hemorrhage which caused multiple adhesions in the pelvic area which affected my bladder, my bowels and my gynecological function. For the next 9 years I bled for half of every month. I had a double period every month and double PMT and everything that went with that. In addition, I also had osteoarthritis from literally from my cheekbones, my jaws, right the way down to my feet and the soles of my feet. I was in constant pain. I also had curvature of the spine, narrowed discs, which caused trapped nerves and also caused sciatica. I had osteophytes growing in my spine as well, which caused increased problems. I was in constant pain with my spine, and I also had a balance problem that seemed to come from my head, which meant that I could not stand upright. Constantly, I required a wheelchair or a buggy to go in. Even when I was sitting down, I would keel over to one side because I couldn't hold my own body upright. It just suddenly would go to the side. I also, in addition, could not taste food right, could not smell right. Food tasted bad, my jaws were really sore, to chew was really sore, to smile was really sore. My hands, because of the arthritis and the swelling in my hands would go no tighter than about this. And I also had trapped nerves in my elbows. I couldn't write, which was severe to me. I couldn't cut food. I couldn't cut meat with a knife. And I had to get the children to open sweetie wrappers for me. It was really severe. I also, of course, had depression, and that's hardly surprising. I had lost my life. I had lost my usefulness. And after the surgery, I could no longer be a mother. I couldn't function as a mother. And I couldn't provide my own baby's needs. And because of this, my son had to go into care, and my daughter had to go and live with my sister in Sweden. It was a very bad time, and I had to fight from a hospital bed for the care of my children. I did get my family back together again, and I did strive throughout all the years to be well, and I tried many different things to get myself well. I never gave up on getting myself well, but the prognosis I was given by doctors was that I would only ever get worse. This was obviously a hard package to live with and affected me 24 hours a day. Even in my sleep, because of bladder problems, I would wake up after about an hour and a half sleep, and because I got sleep paralysis, it meant that I couldn't even turn. I couldn't turn onto my side to get out of bed. My bed clothing was completely soaking wet. My sheets soaking wet. There was a puddle at the side of my bed, and this was really severe. I had a partner that used to wake up during the night and change my clothing for me in the middle of the night. In my home, there was no more than 2 steps before I had to hold on to something, and that was the state throughout my home that I always had to hold on. If I went shopping, just going shopping for one afternoon would take me 4 or 5 days to recover. Brain fog was a permanent feature. Lack of focus, lack of concentration, poor memory, poor speech. Often I could not string a sentence together. It was too difficult, it just didn't blend into my head. I could see people talking, I had a problem with my hearing, and I could see people talking, but my brain would not compute what they were actually saying, which is very peculiar, and it sounds peculiar, but that was the reality. I could not make out what people were saying. This continued for 17 years until I finally reached the menopause and I was given HRT. The HRT didn't work the first couple of times, But then I was given an HRT that included progesterone. And it was at that point, 17 years later, that we discovered that the progesterone levels had never gone back to normal after the pregnancy. So I'd been living for all these years with the symptoms that people normally have just through pregnancy, that women have just through pregnancy. However, the HRT with the progesterone was like a light switch going on, and that at least allowed me some focus, some concentration, the ability to read and the ability to talk. This made a huge difference to my life, just to be able to have those functions. It took another 5 years for me to find the cure, and I did not ever imagine that I would ever be fit, that I would ever be healthy and well again. However, I found Mind Valley purely by chance, and it just so happened that the very first session that I came across was Marisa Peer with Rapid Transformational Therapy. And it was a session called Bulletproof from Against Rejection, which is the root of all fear. So with my phone sitting at the side of my bed, and just lying back and following instructions, I did the session. And the next day I woke up and the migraine that I'd had for 11 years constantly, was gone. Next day, the pain in my hip was gone. The next day, the pain in my back was gone. The next day, my hands could go like this and come together, and I could start to write, and and it was just so fantastic. It was so amazing. I was so utterly overwhelmed at the benefit. It was just, wow, what is this? Who is this woman? How can she do this? And this technique, I did it again and again over the next couple of weeks, and I went from being 90% ill and disabled for 23 years to being 95% well, healthy, no longer in pain, and able to function. And people have no idea how wonderful that is. Just to be able to function, to be able to put one step in front of the other without falling over, to be able to walk down a set of steps with ease, to put food in my mouth and be able to chew it, to be able to taste my food. Ah, absolutely amazing, completely, utterly incredible. And I am so, so grateful to Marisa Peer for serving us and for sharing her technique with us so that we can benefit from it. This was 1.5 years ago, and I did actually have to learn to walk again. I had to learn to do a lot of things again because my body had forgotten. There was also the memory of pain with the condition being gone, and it took a little while for the memory of pain to go because the brain had become so accustomed to living in pain. However, it did drift away, and I kept on doing the sessions. And every time I did a session, I got more improvement and more improvement until I was basically as healthy as healthy as healthy. Now, obviously, having had so much benefit from this, I wanted to share this with other people. I wanted to learn this. I want other people to be prevented from the suffering that I had for 23 years. People should not have to live like that. That is no life, to live constantly on your bed because you can't do anything else. It's not right. So therefore, I reached out to the universe and said, how am I going to get the money to do this? I really need to do this. And fortunately, just 3 weeks ago, my friend agreed to help me and support me to do RTT Professional. I have now done 5 days in London. I feel tremendous for having done it. And I am so looking forward to allowing other people to rapidly transform through Marisa Peer's technique. And I am so grateful to Marisa Peer.